chiller and a thriller when I get the gorilla and Manila.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cassius Marcellus Clay. He's young, he's handsome, we know it.
I can turn the table out and kill a dead tree. Don't get to Muhammad Ali.
I've done something special. I've wrestled with alligators.
I tussled with a whale. I've handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail. I'm as confident as I say, and I'm better than I say I am. I'm a poet, I'm a prophet, I'm the resurrector, I'm the savior of the fucking world. If it wasn't me, the game would be dead.
Who would bet on firepower to beat me? Who would bet on Rancher beat me? I told you I was fucking.
Good morning. It's February 11th. Welcome to the Inner City Wake Up Call. Coming to you out of the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina. 365 days a year. This is the Inner City Wake Up Call. I'm your host, Howard Elamine, coming to you this morning. Hey, announcements. We've got to support the historic, I'm going to get it right this morning, historic 1000 on Jones Street. That is the 10th anniversary, Saturday, February the 13th in Raleigh. The New Hanover County NAACP wants you to travel with us or sponsor a seat for our youth and economically disadvantaged those who want to march for justice on February the 13th. Olean in Independence location where they're leaving departures at 6:30 a.m. Projected return is mid-afternoon. Your donation is $20. So if you can't go, get $20, sponsor, see somebody, see Deborah Maxwell or Tiba Johnson, or you can mail your donation to NAACP P.O. Box 2199. But at this date, let's go ahead and contact Deborah Maxwell. You know how to get on Facebook. You know how to find Tiba Johnson. Let's get them tickets. Let's take about 1,000 up to Jones, since it's the historic 1000 on Jones Street. That's the announcement for the day. Check your No Covers Black Business Directory and events calendar. There's also a nice event going on tomorrow night at UNCW, Mr. Bailey. You might want to check that out. Good spoken word, you spoken word artist. And I know we got spoken word on Friday night down at the Sportsman Club. Spoken word coming back to the Sportsman Club on Friday night. Make another announcement about that tomorrow. All right, we're still at the 43 days of self, the 43 days of thoughts and understanding from a black man perspective. The book, 43 days, coming out of No Covers, our camp, and we got another book coming up pretty soon. But this is going to be a gift copy. If you email me at No Covers, N-O covers, that's N-O-O covers, at gmail.com. Somebody sent something the other day and didn't get it. It's N-O-O covers, and it's done that way on purpose. It's not a typo. I do that sometime, but it's N-O-O covers at gmail.com. I'll tell you that story one day. The day 10, the Lord is my Lord. We'll get a little spiritual this morning. Don't get mad at me. I might be called a hypocrite after the day anyway, though. I'm going to ask you to find God for yourself. Find what fits you spiritually. We can't make it without our spiritual connections. We're going to need it for any improvement to take place. But your connection has got to be the one for you. If it's a tree on the corner of Chestnut Street, then that's your connection. If it works for you, it works for me. I just hope nobody cuts your tree down. Make sure you do some investigation and research on your own, for your own faith. That tree might be rotten to the core. We got folks going everywhere in praise and worship. The problem is we're not challenging what we believe. Pastor said, minister said, I heard what you have to say. Show and study. Study to show yourself approved. On the other hand, we have those who have studied beyond balance. Sometimes I call them bean soup scientists. They are praised and highly flavored. You need to find your balance in faith. It's between belief and works. Here's a formula I came up with. Your own investigative study causes you to believe. Over time, you develop faith in your belief because of your works. I'm going to read that again. Your own investigative study causes you to believe. Over time, you develop faith in your belief because of your works. Yes, all this internet chatting is fine, but how much time have you spent building your own ark? The flood's on the way. I've seen them. Time to put some real work in if you're ready. The Lord is my Lord. That's a short message for the day. There are some other quotes that are posted on Facebook. You can read those. I want to talk in a few minutes I got today about faith. Notice I said find your spirituality. I didn't say religion. Now, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. My father was the most religious man I have ever seen in my life. I haven't found a preacher yet to match up. I have not found a preacher yet to match up to my father, because I saw my father every day. I may see a minister here or a preacher there, but I don't see him every day. For 18 years of my life, I saw this man every day. And for me, there is no better. There is no one to compare to him. So you might say, well, Daryl, why didn't you stay with your father? Because my father was a religious man. Religion. My brother and me were raised that way. I think along the way, because he was so religious, it was his way or the highway. See, he was a religious man, but he was Jehovah's Witness, and his way was the only way. He wouldn't hear anything from anybody else. I never forget the day I was upstairs listening to a Dr. Martin Luther King speech, and he came home and heard me playing it, and he said, don't you ever, and with my tail too, don't you ever in your life bring another minister in my house. We only study this. I was like, what? I can't step outside the box and research on my own? No. And got my tail whooped. I'll never forget that. It was then I started doing more investigative study on religion. And the more I studied, the more I went here, the more I went there. I think when we left home, my brother would just say, you know what? He just gave up on religion. I, over the last 28 years, however, have begun to do investigative study on religion. And at the core of every religious body, I find the same tenets and principle. The problem I find with religion is that everybody is like my father. It's their way or the highway or their man or no other man, and everybody is claiming the Messiah. Well, if everybody's claiming the Messiah and everybody has the Messiah, well, how come the world is still in the condition it is? Because the last time I studied, when the Messiah comes, all this is going to be wiped away. All this is going to be done away with. And I've heard the same thing from every religious body. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Well, when? When we get it together and understand spirituality versus religion. See, religion is like chemotherapy. It's the answer, but sometimes it doesn't take effect. You have cancer in your body, and the doctor says, well, you need chemo. But in some cases, the cancer is so far gone that even though the chemo is the answer, even though the chemo in a lot of cases is a solution for that particular body, the chemo doesn't work because the chemo doesn't take effect. And sometimes the chemo does take effect, but the cancer comes back in remission. So even though it's the answer, it doesn't take effect. Spirituality, on the other hand, works differently. See, I can deal with a spiritual person as long as he don't tell me his way is the only way. As long as she don't tell me her way is the only way. I get criticized a lot of times. I'll probably be called a hypocrite by the time this is over with, because I'm Islamic and I deal with a lot of different groups in Islam. Yes, I don't stay in one group. I might be associated with this group. I'm associated with that group. I'm associated with that group. Why? Because all of those groups to me should be combined on the same answer. And if I understand the book and you understand the book, what we arguing about? In the end, God will show us that we're different. And the same thing likewise with Christianity. I get criticized because I go to church. I go to church and I get a good feeling in church. Because I'm there not for the word that you're looking for. I'm looking for the word for myself. I'm looking for my message in that spiritual connection to God. Because my connection spiritually to God is every day, everywhere, wherever I go. As long as I have that spiritual connection, that word can come from a Hindu response, from a Jewish synagogue. It can come from the First Five Baptist Brimstone Church. It can come from Port City 3. It can come from New Beginnings. It can come from the Mosque of the Nation of Islam. It can come from Taleed Islamic Center. As long as I'm connected to the source, the true source, God, whatever word he has for me is going to come that day from that source. Yes, it took me some development to get here. Yes, I was one of those that thought my way was the only way. Yeah, I traveled and thought it was this or that, or this is the one that's going to come and change. Yes. But as I began to study, if mine is the only way, well, what about all the other good people? See, I finally realized if the Messiah comes and doesn't accept my Father, I don't want to ride with the Messiah. Because I've looked at Jehovah's Witnesses and I've studied them over the years. They're decent, they're clean, and they are Bible scholars. Go run into one of them and try to challenge them. They know the book inside out. You don't hear them in the news. They have a good family structure. They're usually in business and they're usually employed. Good people. You mean to tell me they're not going to make it? You mean to tell me my father's not going to make it because he doesn't believe the way you believe? Likewise, my best friend is Frankie Roberts. He's a Seventh-day Adventist. I love him just like my brother. I would give my life for him. Yes. If he needs, I'm there because that's my man. But we are not the same theologically down lines, but we're the same spiritually. I can call him sometimes before I call one of my Muslim brothers on something spiritual because I know he's praying the same way I'm praying and he's praying to the same God I'm praying to. See, the reason why we're not solving these problems in the world, because we keep talking about coming together religiously. We keep talking about unifying religiously. We keep talking about dropping labels religiously. But as soon as we leave out the meeting, soon as we leave out the room, the first thing we talk about is, they don't know what they talking about. They crazy. They don't know what they talking about. They crazy. Because we believe our way is the only way. There is only one way. There is only one God. No matter what you call him today, no matter what I call him. That one God can solve all the problems if we get together on a spiritual connection and stop trying to get together on the theological election, all this debating and argument back and forth. It took me years to understand this. I'm still beginning to understand this. Every day, the more I study, the more I begin to understand it. Because I see brothers debating about theology, but can't find a decent employment to feed their family. I see brothers debating about life skills, going back and forth on the internet, on life choices, but can't build anything, can't go out in the community and save lives, not working in the community because we don't have time. Why? Because our religion, our theology is not producing that which it should produce for us. Then we need to check what we're reading. We need to check what we're studying. Faith without works is dead. We can be as high polluting as we want to when it comes to all these books, Bible, Quran, everything. But if it's not producing works, if it's not producing some land for our own, if it's not producing some income, some houses, if it's not producing some structure, if it's not producing a change in our lives, I mean a serious change in our lives, where we start to look at things differently, then we need to check our religion and try to get more spiritual and get that spiritual connection. And I always say now, it's the power of prayer. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I put away those childish things. Prayer is the answer. Whichever way you want to do it, prayer is the answer. Yes, I know I said yesterday, when you pray, you by yourself. See, when you praying in public, oh, that's fine and well. But I don't know what you do when you home by yourself, when ain't nobody else around and when it's just you. You praying then? Because if you praying then, it's going to change your life. And people are going to see the change in you. And they're going to be attracted to you because of that change. And all that debate about religion, it's going to go out your mouth. Because you're going to hear the word. And you're going to have that spiritual connection. Because finally in your life, like I am finally, I'm in tune now with God. Before, I was in tune with my own mind and my own connection. Peace and blessings. I love you. This is No Covers. Y'all have a blessed day.